What's so interesting about applique is that there's just so many different ways you can go about it. And even, say, for instance, when you're talking about hand applique, one person will do it one way and one person will do it another way. And so what I would suggest is, while I'm just whetting your appetite, seek out different applique teachers when you decide what you like the most, and seek them out in that venue. So for instance, like hand applique, go take a class from Ellie Sienkiewicz, or go to her Baltimore Academy. If you like machine work, take a class from Sue Nichols or Pat Hawley. Everybody has just their little tricks and tips that work for them, and you might as well take advantage of all the expertise that's out there. So here's the deal. I told you in an earlier classroom, I'm really not good at needle turn. Yet I was just hanging out with a gal yesterday and she loves needle turn. So if you haven't yet learned to applique by hand, try needle turn straight out of the barrel, because if you can get good at it, you will love it, and you skip some steps. But anyways, since the last class, I prepared all of this, and the leaves and this part here, that's just been bonded down. It's raw edge. And then this here, that's prepared, and I did it the spray starch way. You could do it the glue stick way, and you could also do it by basting, but there are not raw edges. So what I would like to do is show you how I take the little stitches once it's all been prepared. Oh, the other thing we need to talk about is thread for handwork. A lot of people just love silk thread. Silk thread is expensive, but your stitches hide, they get lost. You don't really see them. So it's expensive, but it's pretty nice. And then there's Libby Lehman's Bottom Line by Superior Threads. It's a polyester thread, and it's not nearly as expensive as silk, and it hides like silk. And I don't have a problem using polyester. I mean, you're not using some cheapo product. You're using a very fine product that has been made specifically for us. So thanks, Bob and Heather. Then also there's cotton. Lots of different cottons out there. My cotton with Superior Threads, called Masterpiece, I like more for machine work, not for hand work, because I think I'm a little too rough. But I also know that Piece of Cake, those gals, they do use Masterpiece for their appliques, so they must not be as heavy-handed as I am. Well, let's talk about threading your needle first, all right? First of all, I do want to point out that I am working on a lap desk. It's something you can get like in the office section or the back to school section. I like it because it brings it up close to me. And you don't have to get a real expensive one, but it is kind of nice to have. What I like to do is cut an angle on my thread, and this is a really cool trick. You can lick the back side of the needle, don't lick your thread, and your thread should pop right through. Should is the operative word. Oh, there it goes. So that's just great. So once again, you cut your thread and you cut it dry on an angle, meaning you don't like slobber on the thread. You slobber on one side of your needle, and then you take your thread, are we there? Can you see? Yep. And it just pops right through. That is pretty cool, isn't it? The other thing is, when you're threading a needle, quilting or whatever, if you thread it over white, it makes it easier to see. Now, one of the things I find new quilters and sewers do is they, like cut this 24 long foot of thread, and you really don't want to do that. You don't want your thread to be over 18 inches. And what you're going to do, you'll notice that the thread is still attached to the spool. And what you're going to do is you're going to tie a knot before you cut it from the spool. So I make myself a little O, you can see it right there, and then I come through with this, and then let it slide off my finger, and there's my little knot. There, you can see it on the white fabric pretty well. Then what I'll do is I will then cut it from the spool like that. You may be wondering why I do it that way. Well, if you've watched the hand quilting video sessions that I've already done in my classroom, it's because thread has a wrap, like a rope. And if you thread it and knot it in a certain way, it will it'll fray less, it'll break less, it'll tangle less. And by doing it, by making the knot, before you cut it from the spool, and then you cut it once the knot is made, you are assured that the wrap is going in the correct direction. You can bank on that one.